Today is May the 9th, 2006, and we are in the library of the First Presbyterian Church of Mooresville. We thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and we look forward to recording your remarks. Let's start by asking you about your early days in Mooresville. Where you were born, where you lived, where you went to school. Tell us something about that.
Okay. I have to get my notes out here. What little bit I could recollect. Okay, I don't remember anything about living in the other apartments that came to Morton. You know, my daddy came to Morton in the early 20s because I was just a baby. And the first house I remember, Daddy bought on Oak Street. It was at 511 North Oak Street, across from Parkview School. Okay? And the grades 1 through 6. Or, you know, want to go through this?
Sure, that's fine.
Attended Central Senior High School across from Methodist Church. The 7th grade teacher was Mr. Edelman Martin Cup. Through 11th grade. As the last year they had the 11th grade, and they started 12th grade. I loved playing football, basketball, and baseball. Then you could play, it seemed, almost forever. I had coaches like Mr. Ward, Coach Bost, and Coach Fred Holt. And I don't know. Okay, where do you want to go?
Okay. Do you remember anything in particular about things that happened to you when you were a boy? Anything interesting, stories or anything?
Yes, I had 3 jobs. I was a delivering milk for Bruce Brown's Dairy and made 10 cents a morning. So I got all the chocolate milk I could drink. You know, those small bottles. We left bottles at people's houses and picked up bottles. That was the thing then. Just like Sam Edmiston had a dairy there in Mooresville too, you know. Delivering milk. But Bruce Brown lived on Linwood Road, out down that way. He had a farm down there, and his father, and his brother. And that was my first job. And the second job, I had a job washing for Ned Archer at St. Clair Service Station on North Main Street. That's a Special Avenue.
Right.
It's now Kangaroo Place there. Okay, I worked there on Saturdays and time in the evening and made $3 a day washing cars. We'd wash cars from morning to night. You know, $3 a head, like that, you know. I had a bad experience one Saturday night. I was working with Clyde Whitman, and I went across the street to bring the gas truck in. And about that time, a man stuck a gun in my side, the other side, and told me to drive away from the service station. He took me down to Linwood Road, on after that Call Creek Road, back in the south of Mooresville, came back. Anyway, his name was Roy Coggins, but he and I later became best of friends. But anyway, that was my first experience of being held up or robbed. I just got paid. I had $3 on my possession, and so the policeman arrested him. Was named Holmes Poston, who was a VFW member here right here. Yeah,
you said that was your first experience with the robbery. I hope it was your last.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Also, with him was Mr. L.C. Boyd, the deputy sheriff from Mooresville. They went to my church, ARP church. And the police station was on Broad Street upstairs. It's a back. Anyway, so they drug him upstairs and put him in jail. But Zeb Turnson was his attorney, and he came to my dad and asked him if they had mercy on him. And my dad did. He said he didn't want to hold no grudges against him. And so they let him off on condition he joined the Army. And he joined the Army. And he came back and we became good friends because he bought cars from me, and he had a taxi cab business here. And so my next job was, my brother had a paper out with Sean Gerber. Mr. Herbert Troutman was a manager in Mooresville, and I had a route from Main Street at Faithful Avenue to Cascade, and Main Street there to out past the Legion Hut. And that was my first experience making big money, about $7 a week. You know what I mean? And I always had spending money, you know, and depression in the 30s, you know, like that, you know. So everybody knew I had money on me. It made you feel good to have a dime in your pocket, because a lot of them didn't have a dime. And my biggest thrill about having a bicycle was, I remember H.T. Mayhew telling me, who lived out of Mayhew Town, that his mother wouldn't buy him a bicycle, and I let him ride my bicycle. And that was, for some reason, struck in my mind, you know, his mother wouldn't buy him a bicycle, had the money to buy it, pay cash for it. And I bought mine $5 a month, paid $5 a month on it there myself, cost $35, and I bought it from Harding Rogers at People's Furniture Store on the corner from Main Street.
Corner of Main and Moore.
Right, absolutely. He and Ed Kipton had that.
Tell us what your dad did.
My dad was a barber at the Deluxe Barber Shop. Mr. Reese Overcash was the owner, and his son, Harold Overcash, was with him. And the other barber was Mr. Shirley Blackwelder. And they were there the whole time. I remember, in the 20s and 30s, I remember everything about it, until 1944 when he died of cancer, the 3rd of December.
Now, that barber shop was on
Main Street.
Main Street,
right
up from
Okay,
Center Avenue.
Okay, there was a Moore Theater right beside the barber shop. You know, below it, and now it's well, I don't know what's there, but the next door, the building next door to it was George Stevens' daddy. Is a place, a business. He's an electrical contractor.
Before we started interviewing, you mentioned that your father and his brothers had interesting names. Tell us about that.
Okay. Tom Knight used to be editor to the Mooresville Tribune. He started here, and he put a big write about that when one of them died. They're all named after presidents and generals, like General Grant, who was my Uncle Grant, you know, Uncle Garfield, Uncle Garber called him, and Uncle Sheridan, General Sheridan, and Uncle Meade, that's General Meade, you know, like that, you know. And so also, let's see, my cousin Forrest Compton, his daddy, I can't remember his daddy's name right this minute, because I never knew him. But he is also named after one of them.
Those are interesting names. Let me ask you about World War II. You told me that you served in World War II, and tell us where you were stationed and some of the interesting things that happened while you were there.
Okay. I was, by the way, I joined the Navy with two people you might remember. Bill Cabin. You ever know Bill?
Cabin Funeral Home.
Right. It's Smokey Cabin, Bill Cabin, and Bob Cabin.
Right.
Okay, three brothers. So Bill Cabin and I joined the Navy, also with Robert Benfield. He's a dentist in Charlotte. He was a dentist in Charlotte. June 25th, 1942. Okay, at that time we had to go to Salisbury and sign up, and then they transferred you to Raleigh, and you were sworn in and everything. And from there they shipped us to Norfolk. And from Norfolk I was shipped to New York City. It's what's called 42nd and Broadway down to the pier, 42nd Street Pier. And I attended radio school for 3 months because I could type. One thing I learned in school from Clay Harmon, how to type. That's one thing that I thank him for, because he got me a job in the Navy where there's 1,000 guys unloading ships, and it had a sign on the personnel office, wanted typist. And I said, that's for me. And because I had that typing experience, I could move on up fast from the seaman first, second, third, to yeoman first, second, third, or third, second, first, like that, chief gentleman. And so I was in charge of the personnel officer at Naval Operating Base at Casablanca, French Morocco. Like that,
All right, now when you were in Casablanca, you mentioned a big summit-type conference.
Right. Okay, if I recollect, there's very few people has anything on this. It was in January of 43, and they had an ample conference there at the Ample Hotel in Casablanca, French Morocco. Fortunately, I was chosen with another individual to go out there every morning. A lieutenant took us out there in an armed guard. They had placed all around barbed wire where nobody could get in. And you had to be a lieutenant to be on the gate. They didn't have no enlisted people. But we went inside, and I was Admiral King. He was Fleet Admiral of the Navy. I was his bodyguard, orderly, and I followed him around wherever he went. And he had Admiral Cook was his aide. But while I was there, I ran into President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his aide Harry Hopkins, Chief of Staff, and also General George C. Marshall. He was head of the Army, Marshall Plan, and General Hap Arnold, his Air Force general, and Admiral King. Those were the three top men in the military at that time. And besides that, I met General Eisenhower, General Patton, all the main guys there. But I was upstairs with these people, and downstairs was Roosevelt sitting there in his wheelchair. But these people, you see, nobody knew what was going on at that time. At that time, we were sworn to secrecy that we wouldn't come back and divulge any information to anybody at the base what we were doing. You know what I mean? So we were scared to death to talk about it, at that time. In fact, for a long time, I didn't even discuss it, like that. But that was experience. But I enjoyed that very much.
That was really a high-level conference with a lot of world-renowned dignitaries there.
Absolutely.
Tell us some of the other people you met, either from Mooresville or
while I was
dignitaries while you were there.
While I was there, they had a bunch of movie stars. It was always coming through about once a month. And Humphrey Bogart was in the dining room, just like we're in the dining room here, or whatever. And Rita Hayworth and several other women, I can't recall their name. Anyway, he was drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette, just like you see on the movies. Looked just as rugged as he did in the movies. It was really fascinating. And I asked him, could I have his autograph? And all I had in my pocket was a French, what's called French franc, piece of paper, money, had him sign. And I still have that. Also, I got Admiral King's autograph, but the ink he used all faded away on that money,
Humphrey Bogart had a movie called Casablanca, didn't he?
That's right.
What about, didn't you tell me that you met some people from Mooresville while you were in Casablanca?
When you was in service, you could write home, but your letter was censored. Okay, I was in the personnel office there. All this is in a camel barn, as the CBs built a cement floor to build a sick bay in the corner of the building with our personnel office. And while I was there, I wrote a letter and had him to sign it, and I had him to stamp it, but he never read it. And I told him then I didn't say I was at Casablanca, but I said I was in the northwest area of Africa, So Tom and I put two and two together, and he said, I know exactly where you are. And he mentioned the name Soppy and Fez and like that, Casablanca, French Morocco. And anyway, the men all over the world from Mooresville saw this letter in the Mooresville Tribune. And because of that, the people like Mitchell Mack came by to see me on his way wherever he was going. to see, and had a nice visit. Also, Bob Stallings, his dad was a barber. He came in on the USS Texas, and he invited me to come aboard the ship with him and watch him and look at the ship. I never seen about a ship inside. Anyway, he'd been gambling on the ship, and he couldn't take money off the ship. So he gave me a paper sack and said, "Take this over to your office with you, and I'll pick it up tomorrow." And I did. Didn't even look at it. Put it in my pocket. Took it on in there and put it in my lock box. The next morning I gave it to him, and he gave me a $100 bill. He said $10,000 in there, and he's going to stay home, but he couldn't do it on the ship. I got to know. I also met a boy I played football with named John Cook. He's raised up a Cascade. In fact, his wife's still living. And I have pictures of me and John on a Liberty in Casablanca with another guy, you know what I mean. So, yeah. And another boy that came by to me, his daddy was a supervisor of Mortal Mills named Frank Ward. He's Frank Ward Jr. And on that deal, Ron, I believe that's all of them.
That's really really.
Also, this is something else that happened. I was in charge of the personnel office. Oh, these ships would come in here just like when I came in '42, and my personnel officer was named Joe Smith Davis from South Carolina, and we hit it off good because we were brothers, you know. And he said, "Go through these records and pick out somebody you want to get in here to work with you." And so I went through the records and found 2 or 3 boys' names, like Johnny Carter from Raleigh, and T.C. Harris from Apex, you know, like that, you know. And so I stayed in touch with Johnny Carter up until several years ago. He had the same thing I did, open heart surgery, and I don't know whether he's still living or not. But anyway, these boys were just teenagers like myself, you know, at that time. And we all worked together about 2 years.
Went in as a boy and came out as a man.
Absolutely.
Let's move forward to the 1950s and tell us about the automobile dealership that you had.
Okay, the 50s, I guess, was my most happiest years. Why? Because I got married and had 2 children, and they were growing up, like I say, in 52 and 54. And this Reverend Orr, he took me under his wing, so to speak. You know, just a gallivanting kid, you know what I mean. And hadn't settled down too well, you know what I'm saying. And I was in the car business then with Frank Compton, and I bought him out. But anyway, Reverend Orr took me under his wing and had me elected to the Board of Deacons, and elected congregational treasurer and chairman of the Board of Deacons and stuff like that. And I also was on the pulpit committee when he left, and we brought Reverend Kit Greer here. I'm sure you remember him. You know, of course he's passed on. But anyway, those were my happiest years. Dr. Orr went to the old country and took some pictures of where Jesus was born and all this and that, you know. And he came back and had them made on a slide. So he had me to drive him around all the ARP churches in the area, North and South Carolina, and show his slides as a visit for Wednesday night prayer meeting.
Program or service that
Right.
we had on Wednesday nights.
Right.
Okay.
And we did that for, I guess, almost 6 months. Of course, that time Dr. Orr was in his retirement, you know what I mean.
Tell us a little bit more about the automobile franchise that you had. Was it with Chrysler or?
Okay, to start off with, like my mother-in-law called me in Atlanta, Georgia. I was over discharged from the Navy and I had a civil service rating, and she said Frank Cox wanted a bookkeeper at the motor company. And so I came home and talked to him, and he hired me. And on the GI Bill, he paid me $50 a week, and the government paid me $50 a week. And so I was making good, you know, because average pay in board there was about $50 a week. See, I was indirectly run his motor company for him indirectly. Parts man, bookkeeper, sales, and all that stuff, And so I got all the experience with him for 4 years. And then after 4 years, his son was dying with muscular dystrophy. And so he wanted me to buy him out, and I couldn't do it. So he got another man to come in with me named Bill German. So he and I together bought out a motor company. Okay, at that time we'd moved from Moore Avenue to Ireland Avenue, across from where the President Chamber of Commerce is at. Across the street, it was called 154 East Ireland Avenue. It was a nice motor company at that time for the size dealership. And so I stayed there until I had to buy him out due to him doing some shady operations on me. And when Houston said buy him out, he was my cashier, banker, First National. So I did that. And then after I got 3 years, he wanted to go up on the rent. So at that time, Mortal Mills was in a chaos. You just have an athlete over here trying to run it. Bill Rader came over. I'm sure you remember Bill Rader. All these people. But that first year I lost $8,000 by myself because of the economy and the bill situation. Mm-hmm. So anyway, over a period of 3 or 4 years it got better like that, And so I had Sam Overcash, a barber and Mr. Reach's son, owned a lot on Main Street. He said, I'll build you a building. So he had Brady Stutz, the contractor, to build it for me. And the building up there, up there on Main Street, I designed it and had him to build it. So I was there until it was January '66. I sold back to Frank Cox and a banker named Mr. Hamilton.
And that building's still there.
The building's still there. It was called Guys Auto Parts, and now it's called something else. Construction parts or something.
All right, now what automobiles did you sell?
Okay, we were the dealers for Chrysler and Plymouth.
At that particular time, tell us the other automobile dealerships in Mooresville and where they were located.
Okay, when I came to Mooresville, I came back from service. Okay, Fred Lowe was the oldest dealer in town. He was a Ford dealer on Broad Street. The building's still there. Also, Safety Chevrolet was Fred Maurer and Jim McMaurer. And also, they had a building down below there where the bus station was. And his fellow named John Amron came here and opened it up. It's called Pontiac and Buick Place. And so John Amron left Morton, went to Raleigh, and so Bubba Knight took that over. And so Bus Mayhew just passed recently. Okay, he was a sales manager there.
Okay, the Chevrolet company, that building is still there. It's beside the Deluxe Ice Cream.
The Chevrolet building's still there.
The Pontiac Buick building is still here. It's
right. The
old building up from the corner.
The old building's still there. I guess the church owns that building.
That's
I understand. But all the dealers have moved out Highway 150.
No longer anymore downtown.
Right.
Let me ask you one other question. You had a brother, Paul, I think, who was in business in Mooresville. Tell us what he did or where his place was.
Okay, my brother Paul and Claude Meadows on the Puro service station on Broad Street here. Over there. It's a parking lot belongs to y'all now, I think, don't it?
That's correct.
Right.
It was right beside of the Buick Pontiac dealership.
Right. Okay, so they were there. Anyway, he bought that Claude Meadows, and he shouldn't have done that. But anyway, make a long story short, I needed somebody to help me in the shop. And so I go to Paul and tell him what I'll do if he'll come up with me. So he sold out his service station and moved up with me. And he stayed with me until I closed up. And I sent him to school and trained him to be a service manager and everything. And Paul was a good serviceman. Anyway, Paul was married to Dorothy Moore, and they had 4 children. And the one that stayed in Mooresville, that you might remember, is Bobby Compton, the fire marshal. That's one more straight here. He had 4 children: Luann, Paulette, and Kelly. You know.
I have a question about the car dealership. When the new models came out each year, did you have a big opening for the new models each year? Places I lived when I was younger, they used to have the windows would be covered with.
Oh yeah, we used to. There's always a big deal with the manufacturers. Just like Cross Corporation, everything was so secret. You'd cover up your cars, put them on display, but you couldn't show them till a certain date, like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And the building I had on our Avenue, it was large enough to have 2 or 3 in the showroom at the same time, you know, and also on Upper Main Street. But you had to keep them under lock and key till a certain time. You couldn't show them.
Was it like a celebration? Did you have hot dogs and drinks and
we'd have
people come down?
Like an open house to get people to come in, you know.
And was it the same time every year that the new models were shown, or?
Well, it seemed like they kept moving the date up every year.
Yeah.
From December to November to September, October, like, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And now it's the year before.
Yeah.
You said you participated in a lot of sports and really enjoyed it. Did you ever play sports at the community house?
At the community house,
Mm-hmm.
at Morgan Mills.
Mm-hmm.
No, when I came home from World War II, every church had a softball league. Did still have one? Softball
I
league.
think there's one started.
So they got to church, had one. Buford, my brother Buford was he was what's called a slow ball pitcher, and I played with him for a while. But anyway, once I got involved in the motor company, my time was consumed day and night, night and day. In other words, I was getting up in the morning, coming to work, opened up the motor company, I closed it up, and so I lived and slept at home and worked at the place. I didn't have no spare time. And like I said, the only thing I belonged to was the Mortley RP Church and the JCs. I didn't belong to the Kiwanis Road or Lions. I didn't have time.
So did you have any time to see any of the games at the Mooresville Moors played?
Oh, I saw all the Moors plays, yeah, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The Moors had home run hitters like Norman Small. In fact, my daddy bought his car, one of it, 37 Plymouth, of Norman Small.
So you remember a lot of the players? And
Oh yeah, Norman Small, and his, I can't think of the other guy's name. His major knuckleball pitcher.
Hoyt Williams.
Hoyt Williams. I knew him real well because every night if people liked you, they let you in. Like Fred Clark, he is a big man of Morton Mills, and if he seen me, he let me in the door. You know, I didn't have no money then. You know what I mean?
did you ever wait outside the park hoping for a foul ball to get you in the game?
Absolutely.
And did you ever get it?
No, never did.
Never did, huh?
But anyway, that was the first night game I played football at Moore Park. The high school football team, played the football over on behind the South School at Hood Field. And we were asked to bring, grass, what's called crabgrass. Everybody was told or asked to bring crabgrass to put out on the field to cover up the red mud. Because of the old stadium, people sat in, and that's where we played ball during the day, in the daytime. But the first night game was at Moore Park in Morton Mills, something like that, But anyway, I enjoyed playing ball in high school. That was my thrill.
What positions did you play in football?
In football, I played center as my first position for 2 or 3 years, and went there to fullback. Fred Holt came here as manager. Remember Fred Holt? Fred Holt came here as coach. And, I didn't want to hurt my teammates. And he said, are you afraid you're going to get hurt? Made a catty remark to me. And so this time I went flying through that line with my knees charging and knocked out Mason Stone Street. That was Mr. Stone Street's son. And Leonard Cashin, he played with us. Then later became a dentist over here at High Point somewhere, and we knocked him out. You know, but you see, coach wanted to see what I could do as fullback, and you got to make them knees charge up and down. But the first touchdown I scored was over in Lincoln, and Robert Connor, the manager of Belts, and Jack Sherrill made me a hole I could have walked through. You know, it was a slam. But
The Stone Street name you mentioned, that was affiliated with Stone Street's, later on Stone Street's Cafe?
Right, Mason Stone Street was the son of O.T. Stone Street, because he had another son named O.T. Stone Street Jr., and he's the father of the Stone Street boy that's writing articles in the Tribune. Right, he's O.T. Stone Street the third, I guess. Right, I guess. But anyway, my life in high school, besides, I was a solid observer paper boy. In the morning I'd get up and deliver my papers, and my mother fixed my breakfast. Halfway through it I'd go and finish delivering papers and come on to school. Every morning I was late, but Don would give me a permanent excuse to be late, because I knew I had to work like that. But here's the funny situation. After I got my diploma ancient history was one of the requirements you had to know to get a diploma. Turns out it wasn't compulsory to learn the French language or Latin language. Latin was a foreign language then, as they wanted you to learn if you had gone to college. Well, I knew I couldn't go to college. I didn't have the money. But anyway, I had to learn ancient history. At that time, I wouldn't have been interested in ancient history, which I am now. Anyway, so I had to go to the college board. What's the college in Salisbury? It's a college in Salisbury. Catawba College. So Doug Mills, myself, L.D. Rummage, Carol I'm talking about, Leonard Cashman had a carpool one over at summer to take a subject. And you get a half a unit per summer. And the next summer, I was getting graduated, but I couldn't get my diploma until I went to board to the top of college up 3 months to get my other half unit on ancient history. And after I completed that, got my certificate, I came back to John Donnelly. He had my diploma laying there, signed by him and W.C. Johnson Jr., who was the chairman of the board of the school board. And he said, Mr. Hope wants to talk to you, Fred Hope, who was a good friend of mine. He said, I have a proposition for you. He said, World War II is coming on. I don't know when you're going to be going or anything else. But he says, if you'll come back and play football this year, that is important too. He said, I'll guarantee you, I'll have you in the Shrine game, and I'll give you a college scholarship at Newberry or some little school you went to. And I was all excited about that. The first opportunity anybody had ever offered me. I go home and tell my mother and father this, and both of them said, well, you've been going to school long enough. Don't you think you ought to get out? Because I was pushing 19, because, like I said, at that time I wasn't studying nothing but basketball, football, baseball, and Carolyn Carr as my sweetheart at that time. So anyway, my dad says, first I think you ought to get you a job and pay your mother room and board. And I said, what is room and board? He said, well, you have a meal on you plate 3 times a day. I said, that's true. And you had a clean bed sleeping every night. I said, that's true. I said, she's done a good job, your mother, my mother. So due to that fact, I went back and told Don I couldn't accept Mr. Hope. I couldn't accept his proposition, and I picked up my diploma. But he gave me a choice, leave it laying there until I came back. He didn't get me a job uptown, working half a day, and go to school half a day, play football. Like that.
That's something. How did you meet your sweetheart?
I met her in the 6th grade. Yeah.
She was in a class with you?
Oh, yeah. She's the first thing I ever seen.
When you were courting her, what did you guys do?
Well, on the bicycle, you couldn't do very much, you know what I mean? I take her to movies and stuff like that. At the State Theater, they had had a snack shop beside there called, it's John Archer running, you know,
Soda shop or something like that?
yeah, soda shop, John's. And he had a son named John, and he died, I think. And
Jack.
well, probably all dead now, but he was on place up there. John Archer's grandson, I think, lived there. I'm not sure. But anyway, John Archer run that, and I had worked for his brother Ned Archer in the service station, like that, you know. So anyway, I could take a quarter and go in and buy a Swiss cheese and ham and a chocolate shake for a quarter, and I had my meal, and a bag of popcorn at the theater, and a drink and a ticket for another $1. So you know, I could. It's what's called splurging at that time, and I could take care of the movies and stuff like that, you know.
So you treated her pretty well.
Pardon?
You treated her pretty well.
Oh yeah, I tried to.
Spoiled her rotten, huh?
Oh yeah.
Are there any other things on your notes that you wanted to have on the video?
Well, I discovered a lot of stuff you wrote. Did I mention I joined the Navy with Bill Cabin and Robert Benfield?
Yes.
Okay, Bill was one of the sons of the Cabin Funeral Home, and a good friend of mine. Of course, he passed with cancer. Robert Benfield was also a barber, a son of his father was a barber at one time. But he went on to finish Davidson College and became a dentist in Charlotte. Okay, after World War II, well, came home and I was hired by Frank Cox at Cox Motor Company in Mooresville, besides the Sherry Motor Company, Dodge and Plymouth, across from Alton Motor Company, the Buick dealership, as Mr. Parker been there. Okay, Bill Drummond and I bought out Cox Motor Company in '52, and I bought him out in '58. Okay, left Moore Avenue for East Arley Avenue in 1948, and Cox Motor Company left Arley Avenue for North Main Street after buying out Herman Compton Motors in 1958. Mr. Sam Overcash owned the lot and had Betty Stutz contracted build me a building I designed. And with Mr. Cox and Mr. Hamilton, a banker, okay, bought me out in January of '66. At that time I left Mooresville for 20 years to work for Combined Insurance Company of America, which I enjoyed 17 happy years working with them.
And then you came back to Mooresville.
Right.
What did you do with the insurance company?
Before I came back, I went to Maryland and worked for a Henry Gay Oldsmobile Cadillac dealer there for 2 years. And I came back home in 1985. My mother kept writing me, wanting me to come home. And I felt like I should anyway. So, okay, I came back to Mooresville in 1985 and went to work for CNS Cadillac Oldsmobile in Traiceville. And I worked up there 2 years. The dealer then was Rick Tron, and his father was the dealer for him. But he merged with Mr. Wooten, and so together they owned the dealership. But at that time I had high blood pressure and didn't know what my problem was, you know what I mean. Had headaches all the time. And if you ever went through that, you're really irritable, and it's hard to get along with someone with had blood pressure. But anyway, I had open heart, quadruple bypass surgery in November '93 with pacemaker, and I lived in my home place on 77 Oak Street until we sold it in May of 1995. And since then I've been living in Park Avenue, Place Apartments. That's 400 West Park Avenue, until now.
You've really done a lot of living and a lot of different things in your lifetime.
Yes, when I was a Combined Insurance Company, okay, I was in Virginia most of the time, but I was also, there's a friend of mine in a district, and he's called a regional manager, moved to Georgia and Alabama, and a friend of his called me and asked me would I consider coming down there. And so I went down and spent 4 years with him. and I enjoyed that very much.
Well, Herman, we've really enjoyed having you let us interview you, and you've certainly told us some interesting things about Mooresville, things we haven't heard before, and maybe some things that we had heard before. But we thank you very much and wish you well.
Okay. Okay. If you have just a minute, I'd like to reminisce about the 50s.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
They said, okay, I got here, I wrote. They said, I remember most in the 50s was 10 years with the Reverend Dr. Ernest Neal Orr. During the 50s, I was elected to Board of Deacons. Under him was elected Congregational Treasurer Church, also along with Pete Deaton, C.M. Pete Deaton, who was a building fund treasurer. So we built a new church at that time. So Dr. Orr moved us out of that North Main Street church to the church on Carpenter Avenue. Also, Dr. Orr was an outgoing individual, and he got me to drive him and Harding Rogers. You know Harding Rogers. He is an elder with the Methodist Church, and the Reverend Robinson was a pastor man. And I drove down to Greensboro to see Billy Graham for the first time, because they built a big a wooden building to hold Billy Graham's first service in Greensboro. And I understand Banks Brown with Margaret Construction Company built that. But anyway, Dr. Orr walked in his tack. He said, "Boys, follow me." And this is Dr. Orr, me, Harding Rogers, and Reverend Robinson. He took us to the front, over to one side. Billy Graham stopped preaching, and here we go up on the stage, and Billy Graham introduces Reverend Orr to the crowd, and he sat us down on the right-hand side. Now you're talking about something exciting. That was exciting. You know what I mean?
Billy Graham's an exciting person.
Yes, sir. And so, anyway, I said at that time that Dr. Orr had me believing I could do anything I wanted to. If you know what I mean. So I felt like that's not, because he wanted me to be a preacher. But, I just didn't do it. Anyway, that was my highlight of my life, I think, was and off on the 50s, because I had my two kids born that year in 54.
Sounds like the 50s were exciting years for you.
Oh, yeah. But like you say, I was on the purple committee and everything going on. I was involved in it. But since I've been back, I haven't been active, because I've had a second wife at demands all the time. You know what I mean, like that.
I understand that.
I had this hoarseness due to, I had bronchopneumonia in the hospital in 2003. And ever since I've come out, I've had this hoarseness. And you can't understand how if I say, talking, and because of the hoarseness. Just like last week, I was diagnosed with pneumonia in my right side. It's called walking pneumonia, I guess. And she said, "I'll give you 7 shots. They'll take care of it. 7 pills will take care of it."
Well, they must have taken care of it, because we could understand you very well today.
Well, I appreciate it.
And again, we thank you, and it's been a good interview.
In fact, I want to thank y'all for inviting me to come down.
It was our pleasure.
Right.